In this video, I will explain what you should do if you want to build custom reports in GA4. Hey, my name is Julius and welcome to the Analytics Mania YouTube channel, where you can learn Google Tag Manager and Google Analytics. And if you want to stay up to date with GA4, consider subscribing. In the previous version of Google Analytics, if you wanted to build a custom report, you had to go to Customization, Custom Reports, and build the report there. But things have changed a lot in Google Analytics 4. And in this video, I will show you how. Standard reports in Google Analytics give you a general overview of what is happening in your property. But if you want to dive deeper into your data and get some answers, most likely you will eventually end up in the Explore section. And this is the place where you will be building your custom reports. So, on the left sidebar, click Explore, and then you will find a bunch of methods that you can use to analyze your data. You have free-form exploration, funnel exploration, path exploration, segment overlap, cohort exploration, and user lifetime. Currently, I most often use free-form, funnel exploration, and path exploration. And these three types are exactly what I'm going to focus on in this video. So first, let's click on the free-form exploration. Regardless of what kind of exploration method do you choose, the interface will be split into three parts: variables column, tab settings, and the actual output of the configuration of your exploration. The variables column is responsible for key components that you want to include in your exploration. So for example, if you plan to use some segments, first you have to add them right here. The same applies to dimensions. Even though you have a lot of dimensions available in Google Analytics 4, if you want to use them in the report, you first have to add them to the variables tab right here. And you can do that by clicking plus, and later I will show you several examples. Then the same applies to metrics as well. If you want to have, let's say, not only event count and transactions, but also, let's say, transaction revenue, then you will have to click the plus icon right here and add those metrics right here. And the last but not least, or actually the first one, is the date range. If you want to include data, let's say from last 3 months, then you can add that by clicking right here and then select either from one of these templates, let's say last 30 days or last quarter or something like that, or you can select a custom date range right here. Once you select the date, you can then click apply, and that date range will be applied to your entire exploration. Then the next column is tab settings. Now, the reason why this is called tab is because in your exploration, you can have multiple tabs. For example, one tab might be a free-form exploration of one metric, or let's say one dimension or something else. Then the second tab might be exploration of something else. And not only freeform, you can have different types of explorations in the same report. However, each exploration type will have its own separate tab. Based on the exploration technique that you are going to use, the settings in this column will also differ. For example, for freeform report, you have these kind of settings. If we switch, let's say, to funnel exploration, then you will see a different set of settings. Now let's go back to the freeform and let's take a look at what kind of settings do we have. In this case, we have visualization. So if you want, you can show the data not only as a table, but also as a map or maybe bar charts or something else. If you want to add some segments to this report, then you will have to drag segments from here or to here. Or if you have already added some segment right here, you can click on this empty space and you can then choose from one of these segments that are available right here. Then you can add some dimensions, for example, city. And actually, I think that the best way for you to actually understand how this works is to build a quick report. So we have a predefined dimension that is city. So let's say that we want to check how many users do we get from each city. So the dimension is in place, or in other words, the parameter or the attribute that you want to see in your report. And then in the values, we must have some metrics. For example, let's say that we want to see how many active users do we get from each city. So if you want to add this, you can double click it, drag and drop it here, or click right here and then select active users. And here is the data. Right here, we can see that we don't know the exact city of more than 6,000 users. So if you don't want to see that, if you don't want to see this row, you can do the right click and then exclude selection. And now let's go back to the tab settings. So if you want, you can actually add more dimensions to the same free-form exploration report. For example, let's say that you want to see, well, not based on a city, but maybe some other metric like device category and then operational system. However, if you take a look right here, you will see that there is no operational system. We need to add that dimension to the variables column. So to add that dimension, we have to click the plus icon right here and then enter operating system, and here it is. I will click this checkbox in order to include it in the report and then click apply. Now this dimension is at our service and we can actually add that to multiple tabs of our exploration report. So I will double click it, it will be added right here, and then we will see the primary dimension and a secondary dimension. And then if you want, you can also select whether you want to see nested rows or not. Because right now, each combination of device category and operating system is a separate row. But if we click yes to nested rows, it will nest based on the first dimension, which is device category. So we have desktop and then all popular operating systems and their numbers. Then we have mobile, and then we can see how many users do we get from mobile and these operating systems. Another example could be to remove both rows and instead add another dimension that is, let's say, country. Or actually, yeah, I see that it is already in the report. So I will just double click it and then we can switch to another visualization method. If you want, you can play around with others, but now I will choose just the geo map. So I will click it and now I will see my most popular countries. And the size of a bubble represents more or less the size of the audience in each country. Right now, I'm seeing top 10 countries. If I want, I can switch to, let's say, 50, and then you will see those bubbles right here in the map. As a quick side note, I wanted to mention that Google Analytics 4 is currently under a heavy development. And if you see some differences in your interface compared to what you see in my video, don't panic. Because if some feature is missing, it might be renamed, it might be moved to some other part of the interface. So keep looking. And if you still struggle, then check the description of the video because I might have some updates or maybe some new resources mentioned in the description. Or maybe even in the comments. So take a look there as well. Another popular thing that you can analyze with freeform analysis, or actually exploration, because previously it was called analysis, then we can create a new tab right here, then click freeform, and then add new dimensions and metrics. Well, first of all, I want to explain what we are going to achieve. So I want to see what kind of things are people looking for when they use my site search. And to do that, we have to add a dimension, which is automatically tracked by Google Analytics 4, which is called search term. That is why I have to click the plus icon in the dimensions section and then enter search like this and click apply. Then I will add that search term right here in the rows. But we are not done yet because we haven't selected any values. So the report still does not know what kind of numbers should it show. And we can do that by adding the event count because we want to see how many times was each keyword or each search term searched. And we can do that by adding this metric right here. And surprisingly, you will see that the first item has the largest number and it's actually empty. Well, the reason why this is happening because right now, this report shows all the events that are tracked by Google Analytics 4 and only a small portion of those events have the search term. In other words, this number also includes events like video engagement, page views, or something else. So we need to make sure, and actually we need to narrow down this report just to one event, which is called view search results. And we can do that by going to the filter section in the tab settings, click it, and then select event name. Because we want to narrow down this report to only that event, which is an automatically tracked event called view search results. That is why we select that event name exactly matches and then start entering view underscore search and it will be pre-filled right here. This event is available if your website has actually some search feature, some internal search feature where they can enter a keyword and the results from your page are displayed. And also if you have enabled search tracking in enhanced measurement of Google Analytics 4. If you want to learn more about enhanced measurement, I will post a link below the video. Finally, click apply. Now we have narrowed down only to search events, and here are the keywords that are searched on that particular website that I'm currently analyzing. And that website is actually a public Google merchandise store where people can buy various merchandising of Google. By default, this report will show you only 10 results, but if you want, you can increase that number. Let's say in the show rows section, you can select 500, and then you will see a much longer list. If you made some mistake and you want to go back or actually you want to undo something, you can click this undo icon right here. You can go even several steps back. And if you want to redo something, then you can click this. If you want to learn more examples, how can you work with freeform exploration, then I have another tutorial and I will post a link below the video. Keep in mind that when I was recording that video, this freeform exploration was called exploration analysis. So keep that in mind because the interface will look slightly different. Now let's take a look at another example of exploration technique, which is called funnel. You can start that analysis by clicking a plus icon right here and selecting funnel exploration. Or if you are just in the explore section, then click a big badge that says funnel exploration. So let's click this one and start new exploration. Compared to Universal Analytics, funnels in Google Analytics 4 are much more flexible. Because if you mess something in Universal Analytics, which is the older version of GA, then you just ruined your data, and there is no way to retroactively fix that. Now, finally, in Google Analytics 4, funnels are retroactive. So you can create some ad hoc funnels, and they will just show you some useful data based on your configuration. So as you can already see, we have a different set of settings. We have some new switch, we have some new toggles. We can make this funnel open or closed. We can add some additional steps, and there are several other settings that we are going to take a look at. So first, let's create a very basic e-commerce funnel. Now keep in mind that if you want to see events like purchase or add to cart or begin checkout, you have to implement e-commerce tracking in Google Analytics 4. This means that you will need to send the purchase and general e-commerce data from your website to Google Analytics. Now on this website, that configuration is already done. But if you are completely new to this and you want to learn how to do that, I have a very in-depth module in my intermediate/advanced Google Tag Manager course. In that course, I teach how to configure e-commerce tracking of Google Analytics 4 with Google Tag Manager. So if you want to learn more about that course, check the description of this video. So let's see how many people see at least one product on a website, then add a product to a cart, then start checkout, and then make a purchase. To do that, you should click on this pencil icon in the steps section. Then you will need to name your steps and add the conditions for each step. So let's say that the first step is an event, which is called view item list, or maybe let's say just view item. View item event means that a product page was seen, while view item list means that a product was seen in some list, for example, homepage or search list or somewhere else. So in this case, let's say that it's enough for me to see just the product detail page. And then I will name it viewed any product. Then I will add step. If you want, you can select that a step must be completed within a certain period of time. If you don't enable this checkbox, then it doesn't matter whether that happened, let's say within an hour, within the same day. What matters is that the user has at some point in time after viewing a product, that visitor did some other action. And in this case, that action could be add to cart. Then I will name the step because this label will be displayed in the report. Let's say added to cart. If you want to add some additional conditions or maybe make the event more precise, let's say you don't want to track all add to carts. Maybe you want to just see add to cart of a particular product. Then you could click this button and add some additional conditions. For example, item ID, maybe item name, and so on. Then let's add another step, which is started checkout. And in Google Analytics e-commerce tracking, that event name is begin checkout. And finally, let's add the purchase event. I can name it purchase, and we will be looking for an event which is called purchase. Let me select the correct one and then click apply. And then you will see the output of your configuration. Here's how many users did we have in the last 28 days that viewed at least one product. Then out of those users, only 15% added any product to cart. Then out of those users, 47% started checkout. And then out of those who started checkout, 62% made a purchase. If you want to zoom in a bit more, you can click these buttons right here, or you can just hover your mouse right here and scroll up or down. In this current funnel, a visitor must enter the funnel in this step. And if a visitor, let's say, adds a product without viewing the product page, then those visitors will not be included in this funnel. But if you want to do that, you can make your funnel open. So if you click this toggle, you will see that the numbers slightly change. Then you can break down each step with a dimension. So based on the list that you have added right here, you can add, let's say, a device category as a breakdown dimension. Click right here or just drag device category right here. And then you will see how each step performs. Well, actually, let me just quickly zoom out a bit. So how each step performs based on a different device category. Because maybe you will notice that a certain device category, let's say mobile devices, are dropping at a much higher rate compared to desktop devices. That might give you some signals that maybe your checkout process is not optimized for mobile devices. Another cool feature is the next action. So if you click right here and add event name and then hover your mouse, let's say on the add to cart column, you will see what are top 5 next actions that your visitors did. So this might give you some hints where your visitors are moving next, or maybe what are they doing next instead of completing your checkout step. Or maybe it will give you some other ideas. If you want to learn more about funnel exploration and what are the other examples where you can apply it, then I have a tutorial about that and you will find a link to it below the video. Also keep in mind that when I was recording that, the funnel explorations were called funnel analysis. And the Google Analytics interface, when I was recording that video, looks slightly different. And then let's take a look at one more exploration technique, which is path exploration. To start it, you can click on a plus icon right here and then select path exploration. Here you can see what kind of actions are your visitors doing and in what order. In the older version of Google Analytics, you could also create some flow reports. However, they were much more limiting compared to path exploration. For example, one thing that I really like in exploration reports right here is that if you start over, you can then create your analysis from the ending point. For example, you can see what your visitors were doing before they made a purchase. So you can do that by clicking on the ending point, then select event name, and then keep looking, let's say, for purchase. Again, you will see purchase event only if you have implemented e-commerce tracking in Google Analytics 4. That means sending some data with Google Tag Manager or maybe with some custom code on your website to GA4. Now I will select this event and then I can go back and try to understand the flow that my users are taking. And then if you want to go even further, you can click right here again. And if I recall correctly, you can drill down for up to 10 levels or actually 10 maybe columns back or forward, depending on whether you are doing analysis from the beginning or from the end of the flow. Speaking of other example, we can start over and check what are visitors doing when they land on a homepage. So starting point, click anywhere and then select homepage. Or actually we can even enter page title and then enter the title of the homepage if that homepage has unique enough title. Click it. And then in this case, we are lucky because the homepage has the title home. Click it. And then you can see what kind of interactions are your visitors doing next. In this case, it looks like there is some tracking issue probably. So then I would dive deeper into this and identify that maybe there are some tracking issues and maybe that must be escalated to your developers or someone who is responsible for your Google Tag Manager implementation. If you want to learn more how to work with path exploration, I have a separate tutorial on that where I go more in depth. And keep in mind that when I was recording that video, the path exploration was called path analysis. And once again, the interface looked a bit different. So keep that in mind and you will need to adapt a bit. Also, don't limit yourself just to these 3 exploration types that I have explained. Feel free to take a look at others, for example, cohort exploration or segment overlap. Also, in this demo account, there is no user explorer, but in your property, you will definitely see one that allows you to see the list of all users that you get on your website. And you can actually open any of those users and see on a very granular level, what was that particular user doing and when. Now I am in a different Google Analytics 4 property. So if you want to export the data of your exploration, you can click right here on export and then select the format to which you want to export. Also, you can share this report. However, there is one thing that I don't like a lot. So the thing is that if you share the report, that report will be shared only in the read-only mode. So if you want to collaborate, well, you cannot do that. So if someone shares an exploration with you, you will then have to open it, then make a copy, and then make changes to your own local version of that exploration. I really hope that this changes in the future, but I don't know whether that will happen. And also, if you want to edit or maybe to reuse your regular reports or actually standard reports and to see their data in the exploration reports, you can do this. Go to any standard report in the reports section, let's say events. Then you can click on edit comparisons and then click explore. What will happen is that Google Analytics, based on that standard report, will build the exploration report. However, what you will notice is that not all metrics will be displayed right here. Well, in this case, all 4 metrics are available because all those 4 metrics were available in that event report. And I mean this report because here we had 4 columns and all those 4 columns were available in the exploration as well. However, if you go to another report like pages and screens, here you will see a metric called unique user scrolls. Now, unfortunately, this metric will not be transferred to explorations because at the moment of recording this video, unique user scrolls metric is available only pretty much in this report, not in other sections like explorations. In fact, I can prove this to you. If I click on Edit Comparisons and Explore, you will notice that unique user scrolls is not available as a metric right here. So I hope that in the future, Google Analytics 4 will be more consistent across different parts of its interface. So if I have one metric here, I would like to use that metric in other parts as well. And that is how you can build custom reports in Google Analytics 4. Explorations is definitely a solid feature, and I really like some parts of it. I often find myself working with freeform explorations, funnel, and path reports. Let me know in the comments what feature of explorations do you like the most, or maybe what you're missing. If you found this video useful, hit the thumbs up button below the video because it helps me continue working on this channel. Also, if you want to learn more about Google Tag Manager or Google Analytics 4, consider subscribing to this channel. My name is Julius, this is Analytics Mania, and I'll see you in the next video.